Thank you very much. Dear chairs, dear minister, honorable members, dear ambassador, and dear colleagues, I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you again for inviting the Commission and giving an opportunity to update you in particular on the accession negotiations and where we stand. But I will also use the opportunity to say a few words on the outcome of the May general elections and the way ahead. On the accession negotiations, I'd like to echo prior comments that have been made on the significant progress over the last months when it comes to the accession negotiations. And I won't repeat what has been said before. Now I think everybody knows that since the opening of the cluster 1 back in October, 3 further clusters have been opened, and indeed that the negotiating position has just been shared now by Albania on cluster 4. So we can talk for sure of an unprecedented momentum. And this is a clear commitment on the Albanian and on the EU side that have built this momentum in the negotiations. And now we are mobilizing colleagues across the Commission, and many are involved in that, to support the Albanian ministries in aligning their legislation with the EU acquis. The progress on rule of law was decisive to make this happen. I would like to mention in particular what has been mentioned before, so I will be short, but the continued progress with the justice reform and the vetting of magistrates, of course, has been key, as well as the decisive good results of the special structure against organized crime and corruption. But now looking ahead, we need to capitalize on this momentum. And while the negotiations have started already now on the technical clusters, Albania should not lose sight of the need to press ahead with the rule of law reforms that are needed to fulfill the interim benchmarks, also as previously mentioned. And here the work of the Parliament is key. Before the summer recess, and we are expecting here, for example, the adoption of the law on the Asset Recovery Office, but also after the summer, in September and October, with the start of the new legislature. We are here as well expecting a number of legislative packages, be it on anti-corruption, including conflict of interest, whistleblower protection, but also a media package, justice legal package, notably on the non-magistrate members of the High Judicial Council and the High Prosecutorial Council, an equality package. So here is a long list. I think you are well aware also of what is expected. It's clearly indicated in the EU common position on Cluster 1, and we really hope to see that happening also as soon as the new legislature will start in September. It is absolutely crucial that Albania continues to deliver these tangible results in the key rule of law areas and guided by key principles. And one of the main principles, and we keep repeating it as well, is that the justice reform remains an irreversible process. Its achievements must be preserved and consolidated. SPAC's independence must be fully respected and its operational capacity further strengthened. We know that SPAC is the most trusted institution in the country, and I cannot enough emphasize the decisive role it has played in building this unprecedented momentum that we are experiencing in the negotiations. Another important area is the fight against corruption, organized crime, and drugs, where here the focus needs to remain on empowering the law enforcement chain including NBI, its investigative capacities and specialization, but also to strengthen the integrity and the capacity of the police. Last but not least, when it comes to interim benchmark, the area of fundamental rights, notably media freedom, must be enhanced, starting with the protection of journalists, the independence of the media broadcaster and of the media regulator, public broadcaster and media regulator, enhanced pluralism and transparency of funding. So again, on these areas, this is really our short-term priorities, if you want, before we meet next time to have this happening, so that we can start closing also chapters. These interim benchmarks need to be met. Now, let me say maybe a few words about the outcome of the May elections. I would like to welcome the participation, of course, of the several MEPs in the OSCE ODIHR Electoral Observation Mission, which again demonstrates the strong collaboration between the European Parliament and the vendi, which is absolutely key in the process. The OSCE ODIHR Election Observation Mission report gave a good overview of how the elections were conducted. On the positive side, and this was mentioned before, the introduction of out-of-country voting, the professional conduct of the E-Day, of the election day, and the cooperation between SPAC, the Central Election Commission, and the general prosecutors were highlighted. At the same time, claims of misuse of state resources by the ruling party, influence of patronage networks on voters, and the difficulties stemming from media relying on non-transparent financing and business interests were also pointed out by this report. On the Commission side, we followed this process very closely, and we also take the shortcomings identified very seriously and are monitoring as well the ongoing recounting of ballot boxes in Tirana and Fear. Of course, we do encourage the Albanian authorities to take these recommendations into account. Now, just a few concluding remarks. Looking ahead, if you allow me 2 minutes for that. First of all, I would like to stress again the Kuvendi's role and key role to enable Albania's EU membership by supporting the required reforms and building on cross-party support for EU accession. We really count on this continued cross-party support for EU accession. Constructive and inclusive political dialogue in the only way to meet Albania's objective of closing all negotiation chapters by the end of 2027. The timeline we are working on is ambitious, but it's achievable with hard work and goodwill on all sides. And again, now the priority until we meet next time will be this interim benchmark I have been mentioning, and I really look forward to our continued cooperation. Thank you.